Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Maraming salamat, Acting Majority Leader. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues, mga kababayan, mga kaibigan. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Today, it's an honor to address you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, to sponsor an audacious policy that will enable us to leapfrog internet access in the Philippines. I stand before you to sponsor Senate Bill number 1277 in substitution of SB numbers 58, 190, 816, and 1050, entitled an act establishing the free internet access program in public spaces in the country and appropriating funds thereof, otherwise known as the Free Internet Access in Public Places Act, which seeks to install free internet access points in public places all throughout the country. Mr. President, mga kaibigan, meet Jose. Jose wishes to escape the city and travel the entire Philippines to discover with his own eyes the wonders of our country. Jose will not let work stop him. He can work remotely and send his reports via email. Jose won't even let his girlfriend stop him. They can always message one another and even go on video call dates while he is away. All Jose is waiting for, Mr. President, is for internet in the Philippines to be available in every island, mountain, and valley. Mr. President, napaka-importante ng internet sa buhay natin. Para kay Jose, ito importante para makapaglibot sa Pilipinas, mag-post ng selfie sa mayon, magtrabaho mula sa kubo at makipag-online date sa gitna ng mangrove sa Palawan. Para sa iba nating kababayan, ito'y mahalaga para makausap at humingi ng payo mula sa amang nagtatrabaho sa Saudi. Para sa mga call center agent, ang internet ang nag-uugnay sa kanila at kanilang mga kausap abroad. Para po sa mga freelancers, ito'y kailangan para makausap ng maayos ang kliyente at mapadala ang hinihinging trabaho. Para po sa mga negosyanteng Pinoy, ito'y nagagamit sa pagbebenta ng gamit o paghahanap ng mga bagong supplier. Para po sa maraming unemployed, ito'y importante para makapag-apply sa mas maraming trabaho online. Para po sa mga guro at para sa mga mag-aaral, ang internet ang pinanggagalingan ng research, ng learning materials at makabagong modules. And yet, Mr. President, only about 52.6% of Filipinos have access to internet services. Compared to our neighbors, we are lagging behind in internet access. The same study shows that 81.3% of Singaporeans, 68% of Malaysians, and 60.1% of Thais can access the internet. For this reason, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, it is imperative that we institutionalize this very important platform to improve access to quality internet in the Philippines and provide free internet connectivity in public spaces. This bill, Mr. President, mandates the establishment of the necessary infrastructure, equipment, and end-user platform needed to give all Filipinos free internet access in public spaces. Under this act, all national and local government offices, public schools from elementary to tertiary, public transport terminals, public hospitals, public libraries will have internet access. The DICT will be charged with developing a plan and a timeline for the rollout of this program. They shall also take the lead in coordinating with local government units to ensure the on-ground implementation of the program. And most importantly, Mr. President, the DICT shall be authorized to streamline the process for the application of permits and certificates for the construction of infrastructure and installation of equipment necessary, a major hurdle faced by companies seeking to build internet infrastructure. To address this, Mr. President, national government agencies and local government units will also have the responsibility of coordinating with the DICT and DILG to fast-track these permits and certificates necessary for the program's rollout. They shall be in charge of maintaining and safeguarding the program and its equipment with a designated on-site coordinator. Offering Filipinos free, high-quality internet access in public places is going to revolutionize the way that we go about our day and open our minds to boundless possibilities for how we can make our lives, our families, and our communities better. Mr. President, nung nakarang buwan, nakapunta po tayo sa Bacolod at nabisita po natin ang Alegria Elementary School, kung saan nakilala ko po si Barrief. Siya po yung grade 6 student na member rin ng Student Council. Kasama po siya dun sa aming roundtable discussion, kasama ng mga guro, administrador at mga magulang ng eskwelahang yon. Sa lahat-lahat po, sa dinami-dami na mga kakulangan dun sa kanilang eskwelahan, isa lang po yung kanyang hiniling dun sa aming roundtable discussion. Ang hiniling po niya, sana po meron silang internet connection sa kanilang paaralan para po magawa nila ng mabilis at maayos ang kanilang mga school project. Mr. President, 26% lang po ng ating public schools ang may access sa internet. At yung iba pa po dito, sa 26%, nakakakuha po ng internet gamit ang USB dongle. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, now is the time to invest completely in developing our internet quality and bringing this powerful tool to every port, every station, every park, every museum, and every classroom, more importantly, in the Philippines. Imagine tourist sites with free internet access where travelers from here and abroad can read up on historical sites and post beautiful photos of our country on social media. Imagine our museums with free Wi-Fi and downloadable applications so visitors can learn more about our arts and culture and our history. Imagine strolling through public parks and connecting to free internet so you don't have to worry about whether you're missing out on important emails. Imagine getting last-minute work done at the airport or seaport while waiting to go on your next adventure. And imagine, Mr. President, hundreds of state universities and thousands of public schools with access to world-class learning materials and educational videos, making the most out of the World Wide Web to enhance learning. Kung hindi po ngayon, kailan pa? Ang internet po ay maaaring maging susi sa pag-unlad ng bawat Pilipino at susi po sa pagtupad ng Philippine travel dreams ni Jose. Let's pass the Free Internet in Public Places Act and arm Filipinos with the power of connectivity, the power of information, and the power of education. Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Maraming salamat, distinguished colleagues.
Thank you, Senator Aquino. Mr. President, the Minority Floor Leader, Senator Ralph Recto, made a reservation to deliver his co-sponsorship speech on the measure. I move to recognize the Minority Leader, Senator Ralph Recto.
Is there any objection? There being none, Senator Recto is recognized for that purpose.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to our Majority Leader. Mr. President, when the Senate first convened in a rented house near Malacanang 100 years ago, its 24 members were summoned by telegram or by post, which took days to arrive. Communication was so bad that a Navy boat had to be dispatched from Zamboanga to inform and fetch Senator Buto from Hulo. So it came as no surprise that among the first measures tackled by the members of the First Philippine Senate was how to install a string of wireless telegraph stations across the archipelago. By 1919, due to appropriations authorized by the legislature, the first wireless stations were up and running in Puerto Princesa, Jolo, Zamboanga, Davao, Malabang in Lanao, and San Jose in Mindoro. It was also during that year that the first automatic telephone system came into operation in Manila. 100 years later, here we are in the Senate, still grappling with the unending challenge on how to enable our people to communicate with each other in a way that is fast, cheap, and reliable. The technology may have changed. The copper wires of yesteryears have been replaced by fiber optics, and the smartphone that fits snugly in our pocket is a telegram station, phone booth, cinema house, TV, computer rolled into one. And while we have been able to talk to a man standing on the moon and send commands to a satellite 18 billion kilometers away in space, here on Earth, in this country, many people are still on the wrong side of the digital divide, unable to enjoy the full benefits of ICT, which is sad because broadband ought to be the third utility after water and power. The UN itself has proclaimed internet access as a basic human right. So the above is the apt justification for this bill, for the sovereign to enjoy this right and use it as a tool in the pursuit of employment, education, happiness, and to combat ignorance, fear, poverty, and hunger. Others may deride free public Wi-Fi hotspots as populist-driven conveniences. Sadly, those who embrace this falsehood have not been able to fully grasp the empowering potential of ICT. Because the only way to view free Wi-Fi hotspots, my friends, is to treat them for what they are, as a form of liberation technology. Yes, trolls, fake news purveyors, and manufacturers of weapons of mass destructions ride on the same technology platform. But the damage to individual brains or collective consciousness they inflict is far smaller than the greater good that ICT brings. For every troll farm, there are millions of farmers whose lives have been made better by ICT. And in schools, the online education student gets, hopefully would build up their intellectual resistance to ignorance being aggressively peddled. This bill was envisioned to create Wi-Fi hotspots to do social good, and not for the sole purpose of allowing anyone to post only Instagram photos or selfies on Facebook. This will be set up in public hospitals so that if you're the son of an OFW in Italy, you can update your mom via Viber on the recovery of a loved one who has been stricken ill. Or if the hospital staff would like to transmit a patient's data, then there's a facility for that as well. This will be set up in schools to enrich learning so that both teachers and students could tap into the infinite sources of knowledge available online, and in libraries to promote reading. This will be set up in airports so that the loud brass band waiting for you would be advised to keep it down because your flight is delayed as usual. This will be set up in MRT stations so you can message your hot date with sad emoticons that you will be late because one of the last struggling coaches of MRT has broken down again. This will be set up in municipal halls so that if you're applying for a license or permit in one of the offices and you forgot to bring one requirement, a photocopy can be immediately emailed to you. This will be set up in public offices with the largest clientele and the longest queue so that their inconvenience won't be aggravated by a missing document which can henceforth be transmitted. But the real reason, actually, is that one of the things that can pacify a mob waiting to happen is free Wi-Fi. This will be set up in trading centers so that farmers will be apprised of market developments so they can get the best money out of their produce. This will be set up in police stations so that when distress calls come in by text, mas mabilis pa sila sa alas 4 at hindi sila darating bukas ng alas 4. This will be set up in the planned network of one-stop shop centers for OFWs. So if they'll need documents from other offices or from their waiting employers, they can just punch these letters into their phones. PM me this, please. Mass-wise services form part of the ICT solutions, which can ease the pain caused by the many problems we confront today, if not make them totally go away. If roads are clogged with traffic, then the information highway provides a detour. That way, energy is saved, pollution is reduced, and mass sanity is preserved. Kung matraffic, mag-telecommute. Kung malayo ang ospital, ang doktor ay napapalapit sa pamamagitan ng telemedicine. Kung malayo ang paaralan, may distance learning na sa computer pinapadaan. In the same way that need is the mother of invention, or demand ushers in efficiency, or mass use triggers innovation, it is hoped that big government investments in free Wi-Fi spots would nudge forward the upstream reforms in the telecom sector we all would like to see. This begins with improving internet speed. How come that it is faster in the ruins of Aleppo, or it races in Afghanistan in the land of the Taliban, while here in our Senate offices in the texting capital of the world, it crawls that downloads trickle in Tetris speed. Internet penetration is high, but speed is low. 60 million out of 101 million Pinoys have some sort of connection. 4 in 10 cell phone users have broadband subscription, compensating for the low 3.5% fixed line subscription rate. Yet we are oppressed by the 7th slowest broadband, 3G, 4G speed in the world. What are these reforms? Mary Grace Mirandilla Santos, an ICT policy researcher, enumerates some. Adoption of the open access model, updating laws and regulatory framework to promote investment and innovation in communications and technology. Leveling the playing field, updating and upgrading the country's ICT strategy and plan, improving spectrum management, ensuring the competitiveness of the telecommunications industry. The prescriptions are in the particulars. Let me cite a few. Offering of non-discriminatory terms for service providers or equal access charges for clients across the board is one. Local IP peering is another. This would entail supporting growth of open, neutral IXPs where all players are treated equally. There can be shared towers and utility corridors to lower cost for all players. Government can lease assets such as fiber optic cables, poles, or carrier-neutral passive infrastructure. There should be a transparent allocation process of spectrums with clear criteria for assignment, valuation mechanism. Cruz calls it the use it or lose it approach and the refarming of spectrum resources. Anti-competitive practices must be stopped, and NTC must be remodeled into a truly regulatory and not a captive agency. How do we let thousands of free Wi-Fi spots bloom? By fixing the upstream first. If this bill will provide the gateway and the impetus for reforms propelled by the critical mass of users, then it is the greatest value service it can provide. The bottom line is, we cannot divorce the subject of this bill with the larger business environment under which it will be built. This bill goes beyond installing taxpayer-funded free Wi-Fi spots, like the creation of the DICT. It forms part of the must-dos to future-proof our country. It is one of the important apps for tomorrow. Our capacity to create jobs, grow our economy, train skilled people, and feed our country will rest on our ability to expand our ICT capability, open Wi-Fi spots included. It has been said that a 10% increase in broadband penetration can lead to 1.38 increase in the gross domestic product. Another study showed that a 0.5 Mbps increase in internet speed hikes household income by $800 per year in less developed economies. ICT-reliant companies provide the third largest source of dollars after electronics and OFW remittances. BPOs, the call centers, the back offices, medical transcription, game development, creative process outsourcing, to name a few, employ 1 million Filipinos. More if ancillary services are included. 1 in 4 jobs today are occupied by knowledge workers. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, if we want to meaningfully celebrate the 100th year of this institution, then let it be through important laws passed that will be remembered 100 years from now. This bill is definitely not on top of the list, not even in the first page of the catalog of must-pass legislation, but in this broad spectrum of bold and brave new laws. It has its special place. More so if government will leverage its Wi-Fi and other ICT-related expenditures to crowbar the lifting of the heavy lid that blocks the full enjoyment of our people of a service that has been declared a human right. Thank you, Mr. President. I ask my colleagues to support this measure.